Cool.
So hey, Ayush, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Very, very well. Tired, but well.
Yeah.
But you know that. So for all the people which might not know you yet, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Not what you are in business. What are you personally? Like, who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm living in the Philippines. I have a wonderful wife and a 9-month-old daughter. So
Oh,
I'm a parent as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm super interested in startups and technology, and built my career around that.
yeah. And you have also very good friends.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's this German couple that
Yeah.
like just kind of somehow lives around me somewhere.
They're weird people. Okay, so
Cool.
you as an entrepreneur, you build a software company basically, right?
Yes.
So what was the reason to build the company? What's the name?
The-
What's the reason?
yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, I know, but
of course, yeah. I'm the founder of Build.
yeah.
Build's a venture studio, and we help non-technical domain expert founders build tech businesses. So the people that are working with us, the people that reach out to us, typically have 10 to 15 years of experience in their space. They've seen some kind of opportunity there, and then they want to build a business to capitalize on that opportunity. And the reason for that, so I can start with sharing a bit about my background, right? So I've worked in a bunch of different tech companies throughout my career. I was in New York for a long time. I was working in a couple of different startups. At my last gig, I led the engineering team at a company that, when I joined, was doing about $300,000 in revenue, and we scaled it to 10 million in 3 years.
Wow,
So
impressive.
yeah, so we grew 33x. It was a wonderful learning experience, and just because of that exposure and that network that it developed with investors, VCs, other founders, I got a lot of inquiries from people who wanted to start their own businesses but were non-technical. And what kept happening is that they were getting quotes of like 200, $300,000 from agencies, which is a very big risk to take when the product isn't validated or the idea isn't validated. And they couldn't, they were struggling to find a CTO. Freelancers were like flaking. There were no good options. So that's what I set out to create. And the idea behind the company is that we're partnering with people who really understand their space really, really well. They need support on the technical side, and then we help do that for them. So we take care of everything on the technical side so that they can focus on the partnerships, the sales, the fundraising, the things that only they can do as the founders of the company.
I see. So this was basically your inspiration as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the aha moment basically for you, that you decided then, instead of figuring ways or working for other people, to build your own? What was the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this, I don't think it was so much as a single eureka moment. It's just this repeated pattern of like people who've been in their space for 10, 15 years, who have money, who are really like, are willing to invest in their own ideas. They have tons of domain expertise, they have tons of knowledge, they're really experts in their space. They just couldn't find a sensible way of building a company, right? So even though they have the capital, it really didn't make sense. It was way too risky to invest like potentially half their net worth, in a startup idea, like 250,000, $300,000 in like a idea that they were not yet sure at that point was going to work.
I see, I see. So you started, which year?
I went full time on Build in 2020, so it's been about 5
2020.
years. Yeah.
Okay, but like half time, 2018?
Yeah, maybe a year before that, I was like working nights and weekends
Yeah,
on
okay.
build. Yeah.
So the typical on the kitchen table,
Yeah, exactly.
starting at
Bedroom.
night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's always saying people think it's like a movie or something, but it's really the thing how you start. If you like have a job and then you start to decide something else, and then you have the weekends, you have the nights. I mean, I started also on the kitchen table, so I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you look into the first year, I mean, obviously, the first year was successful enough that you started full time. But what was your like in the first year your biggest trouble, problems, challenges of building BYLDD?
In the first year, there were so many issues, right? Like one was revenue. So I think.
I mean, that's normal.
Yeah, absolutely normal. But I think we had like less than 6 figures in revenue, US. First year.
Also normal.
Also normal, yeah, exactly. So I'd actually moved back into my parents' place at that point. So I was living with my parents, and I was basically not paying any rent, not paying for food, not paying for anything, and just working on this for about 2 years or so when I was doing that. And yeah, and then in terms of business, so execution, like just learning what kind of processes to put in place, because when we're starting, we basically have 0 systems, and then we have to implement those systems, and those systems we only figure out what's needed after making mistakes, right? So we make a mistake, we realize, okay, this is an issue in our process, let's implement a solution, let's put in a process in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again and again and again, and we keep doing that and iterating until come to where we are now, where everything basically runs on time. The trains are smoothly. The trains are running on time. Everything gets executed the way it's supposed to.
I mean, you have much more people now, also.
Absolutely, yeah. We're like 85 people. At that time, we were like 3 or 4.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. I mean, this is how it starts for most of the people, right? I mean, we tend to believe. When we look into Instagram and TikTok, like everyone is a millionaire. Yeah. Everyone made their business in a minute and grew in a year to $10 million.
Overnight successes. Yeah. It's so easy. Everybody's doing it.
Exactly. But I mean, the reality is, if you look into pure numbers on the sheets, there are just a couple of thousand people which make $1 million a year per country, right? So I mean, in the US, there are a little bit more, but like in general, there's not a lot of people which do that. But it's like this, like 10 people which go big on social and are everywhere, and then you have this 1,000 scammers which tell you the same story but are not there, right?
And somehow they're all selling courses on how to do it.
Exactly. One question, I mean, the typical question, right? So if you could go back in time in the first 2 years of your business, what moment would you travel to do something different?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Don't lie to me. It's a shit question. It's very difficult.
It's a very difficult question. And I have been thinking about this because I was asked this recently as well. And the thing, I mean, this is also coming from a place where like hindsight is 2020, right? Like I know what happened in the past and I know what was going to happen. But my answer to that would be hiring executive level team members much sooner, right? So I was, at that point, basically the entire company was reporting to me, right? So all the engineers, designers, testers, like everybody was reporting to me. And just project managing everything was taking up a lot of my time. And I was very scared to hire the management level talent, which was obviously much more expensive to hire as well. Because I still had a ton of uncertainty about the business, right? In hindsight, I would have done that much sooner, because what it allowed me to do was offload a lot of the operational activities onto that person and focus more on the growth of the business and how to, reach more people, how to do like strategic level changes around the company to be able to scale even, larger.
I see. Okay. Interesting. So generally speaking, it's not something decisions you made or like on the business itself. It's more on how to. So you think you could scale it much faster and much further?
Yeah,
without having you involved in every process.
absolutely. Yeah. So it would free up my time to do like other things, you know.
I would challenge this though, for the question, because I heard this a lot, right, from people. And I do understand that. And I think also it's true in a kind of way. But I feel that when you do those things in the first 1, 2, 3 years yourself, you define a way everyone is used to. So management comes in. They just have to take over and bring their own like, how do you say, your own spices in, but generally the way is already built, right? So that helps a lot to grow also on the other way faster.
I agree. And I think, you know, the systems that you put in as a founder are essential to the personality of your business, right? So it's essential to the level of quality that you're producing, the kind of communication your team has with the founders that you're working with. All of those things are critical, and only you can set the direction for that. I would say like after a certain point though, once that kind of base level is established, it makes sense to hire an executive team to then take over the day-to-day of that business, of those operations, to make sure that the systems that you've put in are maintained.
Yeah, okay, sure. So how would you describe Build's mission in one sentence? The typical mission statement.
Yeah, we want to become the household name for launching tech businesses, right? So we want to be the go-to person or company that founders or aspiring founders think of when they have an idea and they want to build a tech business.
I see, I see. What do you want founders to feel when they work with Build?
Confidence and trust. And really those are the primary feelings that I want to bring out in founders, and just want to assure them that their business, the technical side of their business is taken care of. It's going to be perfect, and they can just focus on the things that they do best. So setting up those relationships with their customers, fundraising if they need to, and going out and getting some sales.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, on one thing here, I mean, there are millions of development companies, right?
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I don't know. I know so many people in the space. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I know a lot of entrepreneurs which wanted to start a business or building an app or something else. And it's always like the first thing most people do to save money is they search on platforms like this job platforms like
Upwork.
Yeah, like they search on platforms like Upwork for people, for developers, and then you find this millions of development agencies which are sitting in the Eastern Europe or in Asia or in South America, like where labor is still cheap, and make you an offer of like a $10,000 or $8,000 app, which is kind of unbelievable for the work what it takes, even for low labor costs, right? Yeah. So what is your take on that in the first place? That's a double question. What's your take on this in the first place? But in the second, how do you differentiate Build from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll answer the second question first, right?
Yeah.
So how do we differentiate ourselves? I think it's mostly about mindset, right? And what we really focus on is helping founders grow and build a business. So the objective in our mind is always the outcome of this app. Like the goal of the process is not to have an app. The goal of the process is to have a business that the founder can take to customers, get revenue from, and like just continue to scale, right? And so most development agencies that I know, and this is also a reason why development agencies have such a bad reputation, is that they are exclusively focused on deliverables and don't really take into account like the bigger picture of building that business. The second thing is that I would challenge you to find development agencies that have a founder that has built SaaS companies before.
Yeah.
Right. So those I feel are very rare. Usually development agencies are founded by people who have the engineering skill, but may not necessarily have the business skill or the knowledge of what it takes to actually build and scale a software business. And yeah, so that's how we stand out.